Sit to what you like. You have a pen and a paper and some water. Allow me to thank you for showing interest in the position we advertised for member of IEBC Commission. Congratulations for bringing stakeholders. I can see you have some stakeholders behind there. I hope that you will still hear them when they are cheering you on.
Yes.
And just have a good time. This is an interaction with you.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm Nelson Makanda. I suspect it's not the first time you're hearing my name. You have heard it before. But we will introduce ourselves again so that you can remember the names. Linda, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Good afternoon, Madam Jane.
Good afternoon, Vice Chair.
My name is 𝐂𝐡𝐞𝐿, and I serve this panel as a Vice Chair. Let me take this opportunity to welcome you for this interview. Karibu sana.
Asante.
Madam Jane, karibu.
Asante sana.
Naitwa Andrew Tanui, mwanachama wa jopo hili la uteuzi.
Nashukuru.
Asante.
Ms. Gitonga, good morning, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Caroline Kituku, a member of the panel.
Pleasure to meet you.
Good afternoon, Madam.
Good afternoon.
My name is Adam Solo, a member of the selection panel.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Jane. It's nice to see you again.
Yes.
My name is Nicodemus Bore.
Thank
Karibu
you.
sana.
Asante.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Gitonga.
Good afternoon.
This is Fatuma Ali Saman, a member of the panel. Welcome.
Yes. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Gitonga.
Good afternoon.
Na karibu sana.
Asante.
My name is 𝐂𝐡𝐞𝐿, and I'm a member of the panel.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Jane.
Good afternoon.
My name is 𝐂𝐡𝐞𝐠𝐞. I'm a member of this selection panel, and we welcome you.
Thank you so much.
Asante.
Now, Jane, we come to you, and we would like you to introduce yourself. Tell us why you think you're the best candidate for this position.
All right.
And mention if you have any awards or a member of a professional group, and any highlights that you think are relevant for us within 5 or so minutes, please.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I want to take this opportunity to appreciate this great panel for according me this opportunity to present myself before you. My name is Jane Gitonga. I am currently employed by the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. My workstation currently is in Kirinyaga, and my position is County Elections Manager. In terms of academic qualifications, I hold a Bachelor's of Education degree in Education and a Master's of Arts in Communications from Daystar University. And I did say that the degree is from Moi University. I'm also a professional member of PRSK. And in terms of, I've proceeded to supplement the academic qualifications with other professional trainings that I've had in strategic leadership, organizational management, in leadership, women in leadership, youth, among others. I will proceed to give my career journey in short. I began my career as an employee of the Teachers Service Commission. Then, early days in my career, I was posted to teach in a high school, and I was able to teach in 4 different high schools in Nyeri, Meru, Mombasa, and Kiambu. But of import, Chair, is during this time, I developed wings. I felt that I needed to do much more than what I did within the classroom. And so, Chair, I developed programs. The first one was with the UNHCR. We would get expatriates coming to Kenya, but could not speak Kiswahili, nor could they understand our culture. And so I developed IEC materials and content, and I developed a program for acclimatizing them in matters culture, Kenya, and Africa. That opened a door for me, and I proceeded to work with the Finnish Development Agency as well. And all this time, it's part-time, weekends, in the evenings, because I felt I had much more to give than being in the classroom by then. So the Finnish again opened another door for me, and I worked for IOM in the same sector of expatriates, nurturing them to understand Kenya and learning our language. These three organizations gave me a platform to do customer advisories for Safaricom. Chair, most of the advisories you see in Kiswahili, bonyeza moja, bonyeza mbili. I am proud to say that I was part of that team that actually facilitated the translations of those customer advisory services. Yeah, that is part of the voiceovers that we actually did. Then, still within the same environment, my talent was discovered, and I began a part-time continuity job with Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. If you recall, those early days when Hansard was not Hansard, we would have a program that was called Leo Katika Bunge. And it is this that actually made me discover my true north, that I am called to the sector of leadership and governance. And so while there, I was able to attend Daystar to do my master's, and I expanded my portfolio within the Daystar University. And I remember there was an advert on paper that said that we are calling for people to give us thoughts on how we can do voter education. Then it was IEBC. So I put in my application, and Chair, that's how my journey in IEBC began. In IEBC, I began as a research assistant. Here, what we did a lot of table research to actually inform policy. We also did a lot of monitoring for by-elections, and most of the things that you see today in the polling station were developed then. And so I was able to develop skill sets on policy design at that level. And it's because of that that the bosses found me fit to actually sit in the CEO's office as the manager of the CEO office and doubling up as his PA. This is what actually motivated me to really apply for this job. Chair, in my 4.5 years in this office, I sat in literally every committee on behalf of my boss, commissions, committees. I supported administratively at the board level. I supported my boss to keep plenary minutes and derive the decisions and follow them up with the secretariat or the larger top management. And then at that particular office, I did several things. One, finance has always been a challenge, and it was a challenge. And I approached my bosses then, and I told them I have a plan. Why can't we be meeting with Parliament in our boardroom, the budget committee, where we can speak and they can understand our issues? And my boss said, Jane, can you convince them? I told them yes. And Chair, that was a moment of pride, that every Thursday, the chairperson and the CEO would meet with the chair of budget committee to quite help him understand what are these things we are grappling with, so that by the time we are going to Parliament, there is a clear understanding of what we want to achieve. Another thing that I achieved while I was in that office is I discovered the field was not quite connected with the headquarters. And today, Chair, if you go to IEBC, you'll find telephone conference calls stationed in every office. So every Tuesday, Chair, the CEO would cut the bureaucracy and engage with the county elections. Then they were called RECs, Regional Elections Coordinators. That was a big success because issues were resolved as and when they arose. Again, I established a 𝐂𝐡𝐞𝐞. You see, the commission never has chance to actually meet with the secretariat. And for you to develop goodwill, for the secretariat to understand your heartbeat as a commission, you need to be in an informal sector. And so I established something called Chairman's Kamukunji. I think I benchmarked with Parliament. So chairman would come and have an easy time with tea, just with staff, to talk, to understand. And I can tell you, at that particular level, issues were resolved. He was able to understand the psyche behind the secretariat behaving in some way, and the secretariat would understand where the commission is actually coming from. And I think that really helped the secretariat and the commission to really gel at that particular time. Challenges notwithstanding, I was able to pick many lessons, which, if granted a chance, I would apply as a commissioner. Then we got a new CEO. I was able to be his PA as well, but then they felt that I was very gifted in resource mobilization. And so they told me, Jane, go and support us in partnerships. So I was deployed to the partnerships office. And at partnerships office, I was able to coordinate many donor agreements, which I have shown in my CV. And 2017, I must say we were funded so well because I reached out to donors, I reached out to regional blocks, which sadly we no longer engage, and given a chance, Chair, to come back into that portfolio as a commissioner, I would like to revive these engagements. Why is it that African Union only funds SADC and ECOWAS countries and not East Africa? It's because we haven't reached out to them in matters elections. Why is it that other regional conventions, they are so big in matters? So given a chance, Chair, I would really want to establish these partnerships one more time. But what exactly did I achieve at partnerships? One, I did a partnerships policy. I reached out to Strathmore University and I told them I would like us to strengthen our engagement with our stakeholders. And I know you ran a lesson on leadership, policy, and management. Can you come and help us? And so we worked out and we developed one. Of course, those are many years now, and a lot of improvement have also been done on the same documents. Secondly, Chair.
I want to move you to what you're doing currently because of time.
All right.
Yes.
Currently, I'm the county elections manager of 𝐂𝐴𝐴 County. And I went there because we had 4 great ladies. And the commission, in their own wisdom, felt that I would be able to manage them. There was a running deputy president, a governor, 2 great ladies. So there was a lot of, it was a political hotbed. And so I'm glad that I walked the journey with these great ladies. And 𝐂𝐴𝐴 actually ended up being very peaceful. The rest is in my CV, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I want to ask Linda to ask you some questions. Linda, please.
Thank you, Chair. Now, Jane, I have gone through your documents, and it's a wealth of experience, and I would like to commend you for what you have done, even from your own introductory submissions. Now, you work as a county elections manager.
Correct.
In 𝐂𝐴𝐴.
Yes.
Is it right to say that you also conducted the elections in the year 2022?
Correct.
What was your experience during that time?
Wow, 𝐂𝐴𝐴 was a hotbed, Chair. Sadly, because of the pressure, I lost the staff.
Just remember that you would need to go back there.
Yes.
You say that it was calling as a hotbed.
Yes.
Proceed.
But that notwithstanding, one of the things I learned is perception is a very powerful barrier to democracy, because upon arrival, the first question I was asked is, who sent you? Of course, we had to sit down, and one of the things I did, I called every individual candidate in the office, and I took them through to understand who is Jane Gitonga. What are my principles? What will help me in administrating over these elections? And Chair, if you ask any one of them today, they will give you the rating. I was so personal with every one of them and preparing them to do and to prepare their documents very well, both independent and those that belonged to the party. But there was chaos in the tail end. We lost phones, our computers were broken and stolen. Somebody was slashed with a panga at the tallying center. I personally, the county commissioner, had to hide me personally because of the high politics that was there. And that gave me a window on what really needs to be done to the staff at the field. Because the contestation is too hot and the mistrust is too high that even they track you, Chair. Even when you're in the small room, they have apps. The candidates will track you and tell you, hey, call your so-and-so, he's already here. And so my experience was I was stretched, high pressure, but high results and credible process is what I would say in summary.
And now that you're here interviewing for commissioner, what will you do or what skills will you employ to change the situation that you experienced come 2027 if you're lucky enough to be taken up as a commissioner?
Thank you for that question. What I would want to strengthen is candidates' engagement. Because if they don't understand a process and peradventure there's a delay in something, perceptions, misinformation, disinformation begins. So what I would do is strengthen candidates' relations and engagement early enough to ensure that they are, because I've also learned in terms of hierarchy, that those who are like-minded can be engaged in that space so that they will feel appreciated and they will feel understood. So in terms of candidate engagement, I will develop a guide to actually tell them a step-by-step process that upon registration as a candidate, the following things is what you must expect from IEBC. That gives clarity. The second thing I would do is to equip them with skills on campaign management. You will actually find during campaigns that there's a clash on campaign schedules, especially if a big candidate, in quotes, comes, then the other candidates who are vying for the smaller offices are thrown out, and that brings a lot of tension on the ground. So that is one thing I'd also do, campaign management. And we develop a form. In the code of conduct, we would strengthen that aspect of campaign management, specifically specific to a county, that we can have 2 or 3 lines that can actually address, because sometimes the code of conduct can be a bit generic, because some things that we face on the ground are totally different. So if that can be done, that would really be good. Then thirdly, what I would do different is to work with the security sector across the electoral cycle. From as early as now, we don't need to engage them at that time. Let them understand the process and understand that we need to give candidates access to, or voters access to exercise their universal suffrage. Those 3 things, Vice Chair.
Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Carol, I want to ask you to engage Ms. 𝐂𝐡𝐞𝐠𝐞, please.
Thank you, Chair. Ms. 𝐂𝐡𝐞𝐠𝐞, I'm curious to find out, were there elections petitions in Kirinyaga?
There was a potential of one at the gubernatorial, but it's because of what I'm talking about, perception. Yes, we went to court one day, but we were able to resolve outside court.
Okay, so it was never taken to its logical conclusion?
No.
All right, then let's come back to the national level.
Yes.
There was a presidential petition,
Right.
arising similarly to the same elections that you conducted
Yes.
in 2022. So in the event, there are circumstances, sorry, let me paraphrase it. There are circumstances in law that demand a fresh presidential elections following a general elections. Would you please tell us which are these circumstances and when do they arise?
Yeah, a fresh presidential election is different from a repeat election. This would arise when we don't have a clear winner. We have gone to elections and people don't meet the 50+1 threshold. And so when there is no 50+1, usually we take the first and second runners-up and we conduct fresh presidential elections. Yes.
Any other condition that can trigger?
My memory doesn't serve me right, but maybe through a court decision, yeah, if there was issues with perhaps integrity in the manner in which elections were conducted.
What is the mandate of the IEBC insofar as the conduct of the fresh elections is concerned?
The mandate of the IEBC is within 60 days, they must actually run the election in the same format in all polling stations. Basically, it's an election like any other. So you oversight, you'll also conduct voter education, and as well as basically train the polling officials to undertake the same election. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I wish you well. Over
Thank
to you, Chair.
Thank you. I come to CS Koki Muli to ask you some questions. Dr. Koki, please.
Thank you very much, Chair. Madam 𝐂𝐡𝐞𝐠𝐞, after registration of voters,
Right.
what does the IEBC do to make sure that the voters register is accurate?
Once the registration period is closed, the whole register is consolidated. And the first step that we do is to partner with the registration of persons to remove dead voters, and also something we call deduplication.
No. Before that.
Before that,
Yes.
upon closure of the voters register,
Yes.
there must be a gazettement that we have closed the registration process, because the processes I'm talking about are the ones that actually take place so that we can invite voters to verify and inspect much later. But at the national level, once the register is closed, we do something we call uploading through the server. It goes to the national roll, the national register, and then deduplication is done, where you remove dead voters, those who have double registration, and issues to do with the IDs. And then we shall open it up again to the public to verify and inspect. And also an audit will be conducted by an independent firm to actually assure the public that the register is credible.
Very good. Now, well, after all that, let's say I come inspect and I find that my particulars are not accurately captured.
Right.
What do you do?
Once I discover as a voter that your particulars are erroneous, we shall give you a claim form. In the claim form, we shall actually specify what exactly is the issue. Is it the name, or is it the polling station? And then we send that detail to the national office where it is updated.
And lastly, when during the on the election day,
Right.
what kind of registers are used?
Yes, the register has 4 formats. We have the polling station, we have the ward, we have constituency, and the master roll, which we call the national register. But they are all referred in one term in law as the register of voters.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Jane, and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I would like to ask ICP Etanui to also engage you with some questions.
Asante Chair. Naona Jane we ni mwalimu wa Kiswahili.
Kabisa.
Na pongezi. I'm wondering, is IEBC making use of your skills, experience? Because I've just looked at your CV, also your certificates. Are you there to utilize your skills, expertise, or it's just a job for you?
Thank you for that question. One, I serve IBC out of a passion and purpose. I desire to serve the nation as a call to duty. In terms of utilizing my skills, as you will see in my CV, I have a way of still serving IBC, but in a capacity that I'll still achieve the same results. And it is true, being in the field, there's some limitation. Yeah, you can't quite utilize your skills and talents, but yet that does not say you cannot use them. And so that's why in my CV you will see, I realized there's a challenge with women candidates, and I established a peer conference in US, which is now an annual event. It's one of the things that give me a lot of pleasure, that we take women who aspire to be in the political realm and take them to meet with counterparts from elsewhere to just exchange. How do you fundraise for a campaign? How do you prepare a campaign strategy? And they are able to visit political parties, different political parties. And
I think that's okay. That's
Yes.
enough. But more so, like now you're in Kirinyaga, and I'm wondering how this can help you. But let's move to your opening remarks.
Right.
You told us that you are sitting at every meeting at IBC, CEO's meeting, and you are taking minutes
Right.
of the plenary.
Commissions, committees.
It's commission committees,
Yes.
not the plenary.
Plenary is once in a while.
Okay.
For example, we've gone out for a workshop, and my boss would ask me in so that I capture his main issues that he needs to undertake. And there was consensus, but not always.
Not always.
Yeah, not always.
Who are the secretaries of the committees of the commission?
Directors.
The directors.
Yes.
So at that point, were you a director?
I was a manager. However, my boss would send me to represent him so that I'm able to capture the issues and we can follow up as an office.
Who was your boss now? Because you told us you are sitting in the office of the CEO.
Yes.
So, meaning CEO is who was your boss? Is it a director or a CEO?
The CEO.
So the CEO would still send you to
Yes.
sit in a committee meeting where there is a director
Yes.
who is the substantive secretary of the committee.
Mine was administrative, and I was like an ex-official. I didn't participate in the discussion. My role there was purely administrative. to capture the decisions that really needed fast tracking from the CEO's office.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, looking at the responsibilities of the CEO's office,
Right.
vis-a-vis now that you are looking for a position of a commissioner, and having served at the CEO's office, and appreciating also the challenges and what we've always known in terms of governance of IEBC, at the commission level, at the chairman's level, and at the secretariat level. What different thing that you will do to ensure that there is harmony in the governance of the commission?
Right.
Yes.
Allow me provide context, Chair. Usually when a commission comes to office, they meet a secretariat that is so well versed with matters elections. And so here is a dichotomy. These are leaders who have come to lead leaders. So they're leaders by virtue of their authority, but again, they forget, sorry for using that word, or maybe they're not conscious that they are coming to experts who have been in the field of elections for more than 10 and now 15 years for the incoming team. So one of the things they must do, and if I am privileged to enter into that space, I would perhaps share with my team, is when it comes to a technical area in matters elections, partner with the secretariat. When it comes to issues to do with operations, oversight at that committee level. But sometimes when you don't know, please learn, be in the process of a lifelong learner. And those are the 3 items from what I have learned from experience. They forget they're coming to lead leaders, and these are experts in elections, so they must learn when to partner, they must learn when to oversight, and they must learn when to be taught, but also synergize from the contexts that they are coming from. If that is done, I don't see why we would actually have issues in the commission.
Now you've told us what the commissioners need to learn. So what does the secretariat need to learn when they receive 7 new commissioners at IEBC?
Right. They need to learn, one, these are leaders with legal power to actually run.
Noting that you will now be the commissioner, so what does the secretariat need to learn about the role of commissioners?
I think there must be an understanding in IEBC Act, Section 11, that the commissioners have come specifically to do 3 things: policy, strategy, and oversight. And that needs to be unpacked and aligned to the core values of the commission. If we say adherence to the law, and you have brought a proposal as a secretariat, then they must understand the commission will only approve a proposal if it is in tandem with the law. Again, if you say your core value is in inclusivity, that must be demonstrated, and that's the work of the commission. So secretariat must learn to be humble as well, and to admit and to be magnanimous enough to be able to, bring the commissions up to speed to understand those things that they think they're experts in, so that there is synergy at that. But all requires training, because if you don't train this secretariat on how to handle the commission, then there will be a communication breakdown. So that is something that has not happened. Personally, I've never been trained, but I think it's something we can strengthen to understand the role of the commission, to understand how to manage the commission and to work with them cordially and to give them the respect that they so deserve, even in spaces that they have not done before.
Sorry, Chair. If elections are bungled, who takes the blame?
The commission.
And who is the commission?
Of course, the chair has sole authority because he's the returning officer at that particular level for matters, the presidential election, but the commission has the mandate. They swore and took an oath of office to undertake Article 88 in totality. So the commission takes the blame. But we hope, Chair, that they won't be bungled. But if that would happen, then the commission takes sole responsibility.
And in this case, who is the commission from what you're explaining? Who is that commission?
What I don't like calling it a board, but basically the incoming team of 7, because the Secretariat's work is only to implement the decisions of the commission.
Thank you, Chair, and I wish you well, Jane.
Thank you.
Asante.
Thank you. I want to invite 𝐉𝐚𝐧𝐞 to ask you some questions. Evans, please.
Thanks so much, Chair. Jane,
Yes.
I'm sure you have interacted with the political parties and the Secretariat and the Commission, and you know what was happening.
Yes.
Remember the meetings in Hilton? Hilton or Grand Regions?
Grand Regency, yes.
Where we could see that the Commission and the Secretariat were not reading from the same page. I now see where the problem is. And having worked with as a chair of the PPLC, having worked with the previous commissioners and the Secretariat, this perception that the Secretariat, you have worked there for those 15 years, you have experience, and then now these people are coming, they are new, what are you going to tell us? I think that's where the rain starts beating us. Now, you have yourself said that when the commissioners come, they find the experts. And as human beings, you see the body language. The way you receive me with the notion that you know it all. So when I'm coming in and the boss has come in, bad blood starts from the word go. So if there is a way we can address that, that will solve a lot of problems. That is from where I stand. But in your own words, how do you think we can do things differently if we expect a change in the way things are done? Because particularly, and I've raised this in the previous candidates, the issue of induction. What role does the current Secretariat play during the induction of the new commissioners?
Wow, yeah, that's a very great question. Induction really needs recalibration in the commission, because this is where you develop norms of engagement. This is where you are clear about expectations of the commission, because when that understanding misses, that's where things go wrong. And I think the induction usually is a lot of technical stuff. I've been privy to most of the inductions. A lot of technical stuff is given, but the soft things that affect relations are not touched. And if I would perhaps recommend, those are the things we really need to give weight going forward, because we are an expert model commission. Then it means, in terms of technical know-how, the commission will, within time, they will actually catch up and they'll be at par. But relations management is so key. And one person who has the greatest sway in this is the head of the Secretariat. So if he is brought into that space to understand and to communicate to the Secretariat, then that would be a win-win.
Thanks so much. We are doing these interviews and Kenyans are watching.
Right.
Kenyans are counting. I'm sure Kenyans have counted quite a number of senior staff in IEBC who have been interviewed.
Correct.
is it an issue of job satisfaction, or why do we have such a number of people now want to move to be commissioners? And how will that affect
Yes.
the relationship now that you are where you are working now?
Yes.
You have people you are reporting to.
Yes.
If you become a commissioner,
Right.
they'll be reporting to you. So answer those two questions: whether the issue of job satisfaction, the number of applicants from the secretariat,
Yes.
and what will happen if you get an opportunity and you are now the commissioner. How will that relationship be?
Yes and no. In what you have said, it could be yes in terms of we all share in the aspirations of every other leader in Kenya to ascend into the places of leadership. So for that reason, what you have stated is correct. But deeper, this pursuit is underpinned by three things. One, ability to bring efficiency, because you have the technical knowledge. You have no need of a learning curve, so you will deliver on the spot. Number two, we have picked lessons. We have learned, and so we want to actually apply these lessons at that policy level. Yes.
So much, but somebody will say, are you better in a team where you are behind the scene, or you want to put yourself in the firing line? Given that you have a very good experience and you are going to do this, so why do you want to go to the firing line, yet you can play your role in the background?
Thank you for that. I know I have competencies that would actually bring a lot of impact, not just to the secretariat, but also to the stakeholders that we serve. I am adept at communications, stakeholder management. I would really want to see, and I benchmark with one of the big organizations that we have in Kenya, like Safaricom. If you send money in a wrong place, you don't need to see the boss. You actually need to call customer care. That is the responsiveness, if given a chance, I would like us to have as a commission. So that's, to answer your question, it's about bringing impact, it's about bringing efficiency, and it's about applying the competencies that we have to actually better the commission and to brand it as a great EMB, not just in Kenya, but Africa.
Thanks so much, Jane. I wish you well.
Asante.
And all the best.
Thank you. I want to ask Fatuma Saman to ask you some questions. Fatuma, please.
Thank you, Chair. Ms. Yetonga,
Yes,
your home county is Mombasa?
that's where I was born and schooled. Of course, now I have a family. I live around Nairobi.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, if you are to become a commissioner,
Right.
what are your thoughts around IEBC's engagement with voters and political parties in terms of data protection, or rather handling the data securely and transparently while complying with the Data Protection Act?
Okay. Thank you for that question. The first thing that one, as a commission, we have identified is what kind of data do we hold. The kind of data we hold, one, is personal particulars of voters, as can be derived from the registration documents, and then candidates' personal details, including their certificates, including sometimes names of banks. And so once we identify the types of data that we have, we develop protocols of accessing, because we have to balance Article 35, access to information, and the Data Protection Act as well. So we have developed protocols. For instance, for data on candidates, when we go to print ballot papers, we must have one of our officers there to ensure that those plates, once the last ballot paper is printed, we burn and destroy them so that no data is left in a foreign country. In terms of the voter registrar as a data, we have put in access passwords, like two-step verification. We have also authorized, we have specific people who are authorized who can actually access that register of voters. And so even as we engage, one of the perhaps reform we would bring during registration is to tell the voter, we would like your personal details. Are you giving us permission to actually capture your detail? That's a reform area, because if you look at Form A, it's not there. So as you come to register, we must put that rider on top and say, do you give us permission to take your particulars and to hold your data, so that we comply with the Data Protection Act? Yes.
Thank you. Another question comes from an experience that we had. I was sitting at the Political Parties Dispute Tribunal.
Right.
And at times, some of the cases that came to our bench included people who were removed, whose names were changed or details were changed from the political parties list at the IEBC level.
Party lists?
Yes.
Okay.
At times, maybe information would be sent. The complete information is lacking. Then IEBC would request for the missing information, but the information sent is different information from the information that was originally there.
Okay.
How does this happen, and how would you mitigate around this? Because this involves the lives of people.
Right.
At times, violence can emanate from that.
Right.
And if something is done properly, then also the dispute levels will go down.
Okay.
What insights do you have on this? It might not necessarily have an immediate answer, but what are your thoughts around this?
My thoughts would be, we must deal with this data the way we do election results. That when I bring to the returning officer, there's a form I sign. Taking over, handing over, taking over. And you specify exactly that I have given you this list, and you actually sign. I keep my copy and you keep yours. Perhaps that's a reform area that we would need to institute. If it is digitally given, it must have a timestamp and a receipt stamp digitally, so that we can track who received, when, and is it the same data that we actually shared. So processes of verification and audit that can be mainstreamed within sharing of the party list to avoid the scenario you've spoken about. But yeah, that's what I would say, since I've not been part of this, but that's what I would institute.
And include a lot focus on also those recommendations that are made by the tribunal.
Thank you.
Specifically meant for IEBC.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I want to ask Nicodemus to ask you some questions. Nicodemus, please.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Jane, for the good work you have been doing. Now, we look at you as a teacher. Is there a way in which we can be able to instill discipline on election through the education system?
Yes, actually there's a program, and I was privileged to work with the KICD in the Social Studies Committee to embed elections into the CBC curriculum. So as we speak currently, it is happening. And that is why you see IEBC conducting elections in schools, primary, secondary, and even universities. So yes, we can instill. Actually, let me just off the cuff, 2 weeks ago I conducted an election of a primary school And one of the boys, class 3, they said, Madam Jane, tukitaka kuimpeach huyu tumechagua, mutakuja kufanya uchaguzi tena. So actually, awareness is happening at that school level. So in terms of discipline, you know, values are caught, they're never taught. They have to catch the values. So with progress, I believe we shall be there.
In one of during a discussion with one of the panelists, Ms. Sati, you talked about the trust issues.
Yeah.
And having worked at IEBC, and now you need to move to the next level of oversight for the Secretariat.
Right.
Where do you think the trust issues emanate from?
It's a complex of many processes. One is how we conduct ourselves as IEBC. When we speak, when we act, when we talk, do we inspire confidence or trust? That's one. Number 2, trust comes when a voter comes or the public comes. Do they find competence in you to trust that you can manage the process competently and adequately? If not, trust comes in. Thirdly, we don't respond. We are not in the digital space. You see, misinformation and disinformation is so rampant. And if we don't become responsive, then it carries the day. Then fourthly, of course, is what we reveal in the public, as it is now in the public domain, where we faced challenges at that high level. And if that is not contained internally, then people say you're the people we are looking up to. So trust is a very fragile thing. It can be broken at whatever stage. So those are the 4 things. And of course, when we don't involve stakeholders. Let me give you an example. You will recall the ICT technology regulations had something just before it was declared unconstitutional, a technical committee that was supposed to actually work with the IEBC to develop specs for technology. I recall a lot of work was done then, and now that it was declared unconstitutional, the issue would be, what else do we do to ensure that the processes that we are bringing have captured the trust of the very people that we serve? And I think in somewhat we have to involve the public in many processes that we do. And you will recall the Grand Regency meeting. When we are doing the strategic plan, we really need to work with PPLC. We really need to work with our stakeholders, duty bearers. But I think we need to strengthen that particular area. Yeah, so that we don't ambush people with programs.
Thank you, Jane, and thank you, Chairman.
Professor 𝐵𝐚𝐺𝐸, please.
Jane 𝐂𝐡𝐞𝐿.
Yes.
First, I must acknowledge that you are practicing your profession. We are in an age of multidisciplinary, but I must say that personally, I'm impressed with your communication skills. That is a degree. And that's where I want to start. You made a statement that before Hansard was Hansard. You know, you have 2 types of parliamentarians. The one who is elected and the one who practitioner, the secretariat. We have the Parliamentary Service Commission as our secretariat. I'm sure they might live here with a bad taste in their mouth. Did you mean when there was no live coverage?
Yes.
Or did you mean when Hansard was not Hansard?
Okay, if you, then I think there was no live coverage. That's one, Professor. And secondly, not many people are able to access Hansard. And so the Broadcasting Corporation speaks to the masses on what really transpired in Parliament to ensure that their civic awareness is an all-time high. But talking to your question,
you see,
yes.
when you say Hansard was not Hansard because people could not access it, they still can't access it easily. I don't think it's something that you can access through social media and all that. It's so bulky.
Right.
The reason why I'm saying that is I've done studies on Parliament.
Okay.
And I go to libraries.
Yes.
And I get the Hansards
Right.
of East African 𝐂𝐡𝐞
Okay.
of the 1920s. So I was just giving you an opportunity to correct.
Thank you.
that
I withdraw.
statement.
I withdraw. Thank you.
Thank you very
I'm
much.
corrected, yes.
Now let me go to my main question.
Right.
Elections must be open and
Right.
credible.
Right.
How would 𝐵𝐚𝐺𝐞, if she became a commissioner, ensure transparency as an IEBC commissioner and coming from a media background?
Right. One of the things if I am granted the chance to join the team of the commission, openness means many things to many people. If you go to PPLC, openness means that when you're doing the strategic plan, involve us. That when you're developing the EOP, the electoral operational plan, involve us. When you go to 𝐵𝐚𝐺𝐞, openness means we saw that you flagged a budget of X amount. Where are you taking this money? You see, they want that kind of information, a budget analysis, to be able to understand where is this money going. So I will deploy different strategies for different people. The first thing I would do is map my stakeholders and identify their needs of openness. When it comes to Parliament, their needs of openness is about why is the cost of election increasing and not decreasing? That may not necessarily be a pain point to another stakeholder. So map, identify their openness or communication needs, and then thirdly, once you identify, put in structures and systems of engaging, either by way of standing committees where you meet on a monthly basis, or digital spaces where you go and do digital democracy, or just write-ups. I can use an example in Uasin Gishu. When I was sent there, I was very new and we were undertaking voter registration. I needed to update the leadership of the area, yet we had not met. So it was arriving and doing voter registration. So what I did, I went to the county government and I got access to all their emails. Every Friday, I would do a write-up and tell them, today we are in this market, we have registered this number of people, and we need you to know that we are facing challenges in universities, in students, access, and etc. And they responded. I'm actually very glad to say Uasin Gishu was top in matters voter registration, because I identified who my stakeholders are, and I identified what needs they needed, and I identified strategies on how to overcome those particular issues of openness.
One of the skills you have talked about that you would bring to IEBC is communication.
Correct.
𝐵𝐚𝐺𝐞 becomes a commissioner. How would you respond if the public accused the IEBC of bias in an election that you oversaw? What steps would you take to rebuild trust?
All right. The first thing as a communicator you do is to get their understanding of the word bias. Do they mean that we favored one candidate over another? Do they mean that we did not conduct ourselves professionally and ethically? So once there is clarity, then proceed to make communication to address each and every specific issue. Use facts, use data, use evidence to actually say this is the status. But where we are wrong, we must be humble enough to actually accept and say, we admit, yes, this we did not do very well, but we shall correct, we have heard you, and we shall implement what you have said. But more specifically, we must return back to them with evidence that indeed we corrected the error.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Prof. Jane was a high school teacher, so let's see how that goes.
Jane, we usually have the segment that the chairman calls high school questions.
All right.
In fact, when you entered here, you looked familiar, and I was wondering,
Yes, we have.
where have I seen her? Then when you talked of the adverts, I said, maybe the adverts. Then when I had KBC, I said, but I'm still not sure. But
Yes.
either way,
All
we must have met. And that's why I want to take you, your familiar territory.
Right.
In fact, when panelist Fatuma said that you are Mombasa, I nearly withdrew the question I was going to ask you. But let me just ask it anyway.
Yes, yes.
One of the most popular KBC presenters, the late Leonard Mambo Mbotela, had a very popular Swahili program. What was that program called?
Yes, 𝐵𝐚𝐺𝐿𝐿.
Very well. I can see your teacher bit that the chair is talking about. I'll stay on that, but globally now.
Yes.
There's a US president
Right.
who was known as the Great Communicator. That's the title he went, that's the way he was labeled. He was once an actor, he became a governor before becoming a president. I've given you enough leakage.
Was it Franklin Roosevelt?
Thank you, Chair.
Well, today now I know who to blame about this lady who speaks in my phone. The other side, when I'm not able to pick it. Now that we have learned so much from you, do you still have any question for us or any comment?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay.
Maybe not to be answered now, just food for thought. Chair, the role of the Commission is one of the roles that really define the destiny of our country called Kenya. And I've been thinking, for a long time, we have looked at the exit of commissioners. Peradventure, for one reason or another, the returning officer is not able, for one reason or another, to announce results. Where would that leave us as a country? This other arm just walking away, fine, we still have our RO in place. And as this committee concludes its work, perhaps that's something that in your report you could throw it to Parliament to just think. Peradventure, he decides that, or maybe by, maybe it could be sickness or one thing or another, he's not in a position to announce results. Where does that leave us as a country? I mean, you may not have the answer now. Secondly, the role of a commission is one that is so delicate. It requires character of strength, courage, resilience, emotional intelligence, and at the where we are now as a country, we need commissioners who cannot be bullish, but responsive, who can engage, who can listen, so that they work with people, the sovereign of the country, to actually deliver elections. And Chair, mine is to wish this team very well, because the decisions you make affect the destiny of our country. And I wish you wisdom, courage. And there's a book I have always read, Profiles of Courage. I don't know whether you have read it, written by presidents who made very hard decisions when everybody else was going downstream and they went upstream. I see this situation in this committee. Profiles in Courage is a book that will really define this great panel. And I wish you all the best, and I hope that I find favor with this great team, and that we can be able to shape the destiny of Kenya together. Thank you so much. Asante.
Na huo ni wasia wa Jane Kitonga.
Asante.
Tunashukuru sana.
Thank you.
Utachukua certificates wanahitaji kwa Kiswahili sasa. Vyeti ama stakabadhi. Pale kwa mlango, na tumefurahia sana. Thank you. We have enjoyed our time with you. We wish you well and blessings. And members of the gallery, thank you for coming. Thank you. Asante, please.
Thank you so much.
You may also exit. Thank you. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, thank you. Okay, media, we will break now. We'll be back at 3. It is 13:47. So we'll take 1 hour, 13 minutes, and we'll be back at 3 to take 2 candidates. Thank you very much, and enjoy your lunch. Asante.